All right. What's going on, everyone? Aaron here, Clean Cuts Lawn Care. It is Friday morning. I'm not working today because I had a ton of stuff to do. I just went and secured the rental vehicle for our trip to Maryland. Oh my God, did they charge me. The regular Enterprise did not have a pickup truck or any vehicle with a hitch on it, which is weird because when I went there a couple weeks ago looking for one, they had a Silverado there for rent. When I went today and I asked for one, they said, we don't have trucks for rent here. I said, well, there was one here a couple weeks ago, a Silverado, a black one, I remember it. The guy goes, no, not here. Well, yes, it was. I know it was. I was here. I looked at it. It didn't have a hitch, and that's the reason I didn't get it. So, well, there were other factors as well. So anyway, whatever. I did get a truck for this trip. It's going to be a quick trip, but we are excited to go do it. So I've been waiting on the right time to make this video. I just haven't had time. And we're going to talk about why we switched our shop from a shipping container, from a storage unit, to a shipping container and a carport as well. It's been a year now that we've been here in the container. I've gotten plenty of comments about it, questions about it, mainly about pricing and how do they deliver. I even got one comment that said, man, that shipping container is stupid. I don't even, like, what type of a response do you give that? I'm not really certain. So, but okay, thank you. In order to tell the story, we will go all the way back. I'm not moving far, so I'm not putting my seatbelt on. So, as you guys know, we started the business part-time. Only was working on the weekends that first year. And, you know, we didn't have any real equipment. We started off with a 22-inch mower, a trimmer, a blower. A couple months later, we would get a 30-inch Time Master, and then pretty soon after that, we would get our first trailer. But we didn't really have, you know, a ton of equipment. It wasn't until near the end of that first year that we would get the 52-inch mower and, you know, things like that. So our first shop didn't really need to be much of anything. It was in fact this building right here. Hold on one second. Right here. So our first shop would actually be that building right there, if you guys recall, just in that door. No, it was not the Taj Mahal. In fact, it was it was a disaster. And we only started off having the first 10 feet of it. It wasn't until months later we would get the rest of that section. It was a disaster. There were holes in the walls, and it was a hole in the wall, and it also had holes in the walls. So, but I turned it into a fairly nice shop, okay? I hung up wood paneling, and ended up using that wood paneling in order to hang up our, you know, handheld equipment. I cleaned it up. I put I hung tarps up, and it was pretty nice. We knew it wouldn't last as we were growing, but, you know, we used it for the time being. The main reason we left here was because, if you know, I'm sure a lot of you know, the tree company I worked for is right behind it, right next to it. And during the winter, after our first year, I actually told the tree company I was not returning to work. We had a falling out. I've mentioned it before politely, but I'll say it like this. That guy's a piece of shit. He's a piece of trash. He's no good. And, you know, that's really it. So I told him I wasn't returning to work, and I just didn't want to see him, deal with him, anything. He has known the owners here a very, very long time. So I said, yeah, if there's any problems, they're going to side with him, and we would go to a storage unit. Then we were there in a 10 by 20 for probably about 6 months. Yeah, we were there for about 6 months initially. Through, well, no, a little more than that, 7 months through the first season. At the end of the first mowing season, we would then move to a 10x30, which we would have for that rest of that season. So we were there for 2 full seasons. All right, sorry, I had to piece the video together, or I had to pause it. So yeah, we were there for 2 full seasons, but let me see. The day we were moving out of the 10x20, when I was in the office, there was a woman in there claiming she had been robbed. They emptied out her unit, and she wanted to file an insurance claim with the insurance that you have to have with them. So I remember when she left the office, the manager told me that her stuff was up for auction. She hadn't paid her last bill, and there had been a big fight between them, big discrepancy, and right the day before the stuff was going to be auctioned off, she paid whatever they ended up wanting, you know, fees and all that, to get her stuff back. Then she paid it, got it all, then that night her unit was robbed. They said they believe it was an inside job, and so do I. I did believe that. I still, to this day, believe that. But over the next year, I would find out that there were 7 more robberies. And I also found out that there was like a 5 or 6 month span. They had no security cameras, no motion detectors, nothing. So when I confronted the manager about this, she admitted that, yeah, the security cameras were down. They had been down for quite a long time. They didn't know, the company who was supposed to remodel the place was putting in new cameras. They kept putting the job back further and further. So they had no idea of who could have did these robberies. But they did get one look at the vehicle because there was like another camera that wasn't part of that security system, and it caught like a glimpse of the vehicle they think did the robberies. So at this point, I'm like, you know, what the hell? I'm gonna have to get out of here. So then she told us, oh, they finally scheduled the job. They're coming to do it. It's going to be a big to-do, top-notch security. They're changing the gate, all kinds of stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, let's give this a chance. Now, where that second unit was that we had moved to, I would cut down one of the middle lanes, get to the last lane, make a right, and I was about 3/4 of the way down on the left. When I make that right-hand turn, I can almost look down there and know which door was mine, within a few, you know. So, our very last day there, we had no idea we were moving. I remember I was doing a huge fall cleanup that day. I get there, I go in, I go down the center aisle, I make a right, and when I look down there to my left, I see a door open, a door closed, and a door open. And it was pretty much right in my area of where my door should be. And when I tell you my heart basically exploded, I mean, it was like I couldn't even breathe. So I floor it, and I'm heading down there. And as I'm heading down there, there's other doors open, and the units are empty. And as I get close, I can see on the first door that's open on the left, I can see restaurant equipment. Now the next door is closed, but the one after that is open. As soon as I see that restaurant equipment, oh my God, because I knew that that was the unit next to me and my door was the one that was closed. And my locks were still on there, except for one looked like they had just started cutting on it and then stopped. I don't know why. So I had 2 locks on mine, even though you were only allowed 1. They let me put a lock on their lockout side. I just had to give them a copy of that 1 lock, the key. Not my lock, but I had to give them a copy of the other lock. So it looked like they had tried to start cutting mine, and then maybe they just said, well, there's 2 locks, it's going to take twice as long, and they left. You know, not left, but moved on. So directly across from me, there was another 2 units that were open and cleaned out. In total, there were 12 units that night that were robbed and cleaned out. The only one they didn't clean out was the one directly next to me that had restaurant equipment. They owned a pizza shop, and when they shut down, they put all the pizza equipment in there, and that stuff was just too heavy. But there was stuff right against the door. They did get that stuff, and that's why I didn't, as I made that turn, I couldn't see anything at first. I had to get closer to see the pizza equipment. So that was 20 plus units robbed from the time I got there to the day we left, because I left that day. I went to work that day. I called the owner of the farm. He said, bring your stuff here, we'll figure it out. I put it in the same building we originally had, but on the other side. And it was a disaster. But oh, it was safe. I ordered my shipping container that day with delivery. I think it was 27.20 or something like that. $2,720. It would take probably like a week and a half to get it. So that's why we moved. And let me tell you this, the manager of that place, when I told you I had confronted her about the other robberies and the cameras. Now this woman legitimately, look, I need to lose some weight. Okay, look, I mean, you can tell, right? I'll be back in the gym here shortly. It's almost winter. This woman legitimately was 600 pounds. Legitimately. And every time you've seen her, she had some huge food thing. Like these, like if you go to like a Chinese restaurant or something, they give you the styrofoam things, and it was just overheaping with food, and she would always be eating, and it was disgusting. I don't know how else to say it. Where her pants were, like her skin would hang out of her pants. It was disgusting. So I confronted her about the cameras, and she said, here's what she told me. She goes, well, they're talking about firing me because of all these robberies. She said, but after work, I don't get off my couch. I don't care what's going on. And as soon as she said that, I go, yeah, no shit, you don't get off your couch. Because I was pissed about all this, you know? And it's like no one's expecting you to go out there and fist fight someone, okay? But in order to get in, you had to drive past her windows because she lived on site. And on your way out, your headlights are flashing in her other window. So there's no way and the place closed at a certain time. All these robberies happened after hours. So there was no way she didn't know someone was on site. So that's why we left, got the shipping container. Now it's a, what is it? An 8x40, the shipping container is. But what sucks about it is, or is it 10x40? I think it's 8x40 to be honest. Yeah, it's 8x40. And I think it's 8 feet tall. But here's the thing, that 8-foot dimension, that is exterior to exterior. Inside is really about 7.5. It don't matter, whatever. So now the good thing is it's 40 feet long, right? There's a lot you can do with 40 feet, right? I have built attics in there, and I've extended the attic, and I'm going to keep extending it. That way we're going to have like 4 different attic sections for storage, or whatever we want to use it for. It's long enough that you could make a table to do certain like maintenance on, if you need to rebuild a carburetor, or if you want to sharpen your blade, you know, whatever. There's enough room for stuff like that. Until, of course, as you keep growing, you lose room. But, and now the pricing for that storage, you guys hear a paint can back there, it keeps moving around. Sorry about that. When we first went there, it was like, for the 10x20, I think we were paying like $160 a month. Then it went up to $189. Then we found a special on the 10x30, which is why we moved, and it was $181. Halfway through, they raised it to $300. Now, I was pretty pissed about that, and I asked them, what can we do to lock in a rate? And she said, prepay it, and it'll lock that rate in. Then out of nowhere, like a month before we moved, they raised it to $4 something. I don't remember, $430, $419. I never paid it. I don't know. We moved before that happened, and I was already, without those robberies, we were already looking to order our shipping container because of it. Where I'm at now, for where the building is and where the carport is, and I have a lot of good amount of room behind it, $125. And even if they did raise it, it would go up to like $140 or $150. And they're not going to raise it every year. They would adjust it every couple years, and it wouldn't be a lot, you know. So, and then once they reach a certain amount, that's it. And they're never going to try to charge me more than $150 for that. But right now it's at $125. I don't see them trying to raise it anytime soon. And the max would be like $150. So, big perks, you know. It's down there, it's very secured. You need a code or an app to get in. Yes, you can snake your way in there behind a vehicle or something, but everyone there has been there for a long time, and pretty much everyone there talks to everyone else there. We know who should be coming in and who shouldn't. There has been people there like picking someone up and someone stopped them. What are you doing here? I stopped a Honda one time, and when I stopped them, they said, well, we're looking for the place that buys cars. It was right next door. They just went in the wrong driveway. And that was actually before they had the security fence. Back then it was a gate you could pull open. So other people have been stopped. Like I said, we all know who should be there and who shouldn't be there. The owner is there all man, sometimes he don't leave. He's there all morning, all night. There's always someone there. I think they have one worker that helps them out. He's there a lot. People coming and going who should, they have rentals there. So the security there is pretty good. And the city police come in there all the time. A lot of times they park in the parking lot you come into as you're entering the property, and they just sit there. I don't know what they're doing. There's a one-way bridge. They catch people coming the wrong way. So there's always cops around, the owner's around, other people's around. So it's very secure. When we were at the storage unit, every morning I pulled in, I was a nervous wreck. I couldn't deal with it. In the wintertime, when we're not working a lot, I would go there sometimes and crack my door open like a foot or whatever, so people knew that's the unit I'm there for. And I would just sit there for an hour, 2 hours, just so people like seen me there. You know what I mean? And knew, oh, he shows up, he comes here. So ever since we've moved to this property, I can't even tell you of a time after work, in the morning, on the weekends, that I've even thought about my equipment. I mean, just the peace of mind alone, And when you compare the prices, what I was paying to what I pay now, let me see. Let's say $200 difference. Right now, the shipping container has paid for itself in difference in prices of what we were paying. So if I had to keep paying there, the shipping container would have been free. So after a year that we've been back there with the shipping container, it's like the container was free, you know? So that's good. We also had the room to put up that carport because our bigger trailer did not fit in the building, which you guys know I like my stuff to be inside. I don't want rain, you know, going on my trailer, snow on my trailer. So that carport was very important. But I would say the biggest benefit is the peace of mind. I'm never worried about my equipment, not even a little bit. Because, yeah, you can have insurance all you want. It's never going to be right. If you get robbed for your equipment, you're never going to get the right amount. And that's besides the point. Someone took your stuff that you worked for, you sacrificed for. You know, you woke up every morning and went and sweated and literally bled, and you know, you sacrificed everything. You rolled the dice with you and your family's financials to have this, and then someone goes and puts their grubby ass, no good, thieving hands on your stuff and took it. To me, that's the big part of it. You know, and insurance is never going to give you what you need to bounce back. And then there's that gap of time. It's a huge to do, you know. So that's probably the biggest benefit to, you know, getting the shipping container. And to the people who put the negative comments, yeah, it's a shipping container. I did what I was able to do at the time. It was the best option for right then. It was affordable. It's big. You know, it was the best option. So, there's different ways to have a shop. Maybe it's your garage or a family member's garage. Maybe you don't really have a shop, but you have a enclosed trailer and you just rent a couple parking spots somewhere. Well, that's your shop. That's where you're going to go and sharpen your blades and maintenance your equipment. A shop is wherever you can work out of. I told you guys how I kept seeing this comment on other people's videos. It was the same person. Anyone who had their shop at a storage unit, this person was going on their channel and saying something like, "This isn't a shop, this is a drive-up storage unit," laugh out loud. And same person was putting it on all these different channels I watched. And I'm like, the hell's this person's problem, you know? This was only like a couple months ago. Well, then he went and watched one of my older videos from there and did the same exact comment. And, you know, I said, what the hell's your problem? You know, I commented back to him or whatever. So don't let that be something that weighs on your mind of, I don't have a good shop. You know, I'm supposed to have better. You have what you have. And you make what you have work until you can do something else. I look at it like the shipping container. That's the best I can do right now. It works. It's safe. No one's getting in that shipping container. I mean, even if I have multiple locks on it, but the lock I use that goes across the beams, you're not easily cutting that thing off. And it only has doors on one side. So I have it pretty secured. But, yeah, use what you have and then move on from there. We are buying a different home very soon, hopefully very soon. And there's going to be days I do the work at home instead of my shop, or I take my truck and trailer home for the night instead of the shop. Doesn't mean, you know, I won't keep my shop, because I will, but you never know. One day I might say, you know what? I want to put a bigger storage unit on the property here and move all my stuff home. And if I did, that would be my shop. So Alright guys, that's about it. I've been waiting to do this video, just, having time, getting everything ready for this little trip. We will make a video of the trip. If you watch my channel, I promise you, you are going to want to watch the video of our trip, because there might be a special guest. A huge special guest, as a matter of fact. I don't know, maybe not. So, alright guys, if you liked the video, hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Let me know everything I'm doing wrong, and keep the edges clean, boys. I'm out.